This is the Your Money Hour podcast, and this is Dakota Grady. I am your host. So tonight I have a guest from the Nashville, Tennessee area. But before we get started, I want to say thank you for joining me, whether you're in South Carolina, North Carolina, across the ocean, in Germany, Singapore. Welcome to the show. So if you need help with personal finances, go to my website at dakotagrady.com. Check out resources there for you. My book, audiobook, Financial Hope is available for you. And if you need help with your taxes and accounting, guess right, it is tax season. Go to the AT doc. That's the ATDOC.com for tax help. So today I have Aaron Walker from, I guess, Gallatin, Tennessee, Hendersonville, Tennessee. Is that right?
Nashville, Tennessee.
Nashville, Tennessee. So Aaron is a special guest because Aaron, he just big time business owner, and I want him to share a story with you all about his life and things he's gone through in terms of businesses, and just want y'all to know about who he is and how he can help you if you're or a man or maybe even a woman too, who can help you take your life to the next level, business and in life. So without further ado, I want to welcome Aaron Walker to the show.
Hey, Dakota. Thank you, buddy. I really appreciate you inviting me to be here today. What an honor it is to be your guest. And then to find out that at one point you were living not 5 minutes from me. I mean, what are the chances of that? That is so cool. So thank you, Dakota. Let me go back just for a second, maybe, and give you just a little overview so that you have context for who I am here in Nashville. I was very poor when I was growing up. I was able to start my first business at 18. And then over the course of 42 years, we've owned 14 businesses. I retired 10 years ago, and a mastermind that I've been in for decades with a friend of mine, Dave Ramsey, encouraged me to coach other people. Dan Miller's in that group, 48 Days to the Work You Love. And they said, man, you need to take your level of experience and train and teach other people. So I started doing that 7 years ago, Dakota. And then I turn around twice and I look up, we've got 20 mastermind groups today. We're in about 8 or 9 different countries from around the world, and we're helping transform the lives of many, many people, helping them achieve a life of success and significance.
Wow, 14 businesses. That's awesome. And you're also married too. Your wife is Robin, right?
Married, be 41 years this June. I've got 2 beautiful daughters, 37 and 35 years old, and then 5 grandchildren from 5 to 19 years old.
Oh, wow. All right. So those are your highlights of your life, I assume, right? Other than the businesses?
Those are highlights. Those are the main highlights without a question. But yeah, I don't want to bore your audience with all that we've done over the course of our life. I feel like I can add a little bit of value to you simply because we've had a little bit of experience.
Yes. So talk about your businesses. Like, what encouraged you to start a business? Because most people these days are employees, but what encouraged you to start a business, and what was your why?
You know, when I started my first business, my dad was an entrepreneur. He just wasn't a very good business person. And we were raised in a very poor family. I mean, we didn't have anything. We lived in a 600 square foot house. There were 4 children and 2 adults. And then we later lost the house in bankruptcy. And so we didn't have, my dad gave $6,500 for this house that we lived in. And I thought, man, there's got to be a better way. There's got to be another way to make a living, that we can have something and accomplish some of our goals and dreams. And so I was really motivated, not for what I wanted to do, but for what I didn't want to do. And I didn't want to work as hard as my dad had worked previously. And I'm like, I got to figure out another way. So I set out on an entrepreneurial journey, enlisted a couple of partners, and we opened our first retail outlet when I was 18. And then I was able to sell it at age 27 to a Fortune 500. So God was really good to us. He blessed us immeasurably. And that allowed me to go do a few things that I wouldn't have otherwise gotten to do because we sold that first business. But what I want to tell your audience today is I didn't do anything unique just to me. You can do the same thing. I don't even have a college education. I've barely got a high school education. And I'm like, man, I've got a lot of grit and determination and perseverance that has allowed me to go out and determine what it is I want in life and go for it And I know your audience can do the same thing.
Wow. And we have a similar background because my mom and dad have 7 children. Yes, 7 children. And we lived on welfare too. So I know your story is something that resonates with me. So having that grit is something that you need in life because life is hard. It's very difficult. But if you have that grit, when life knocks you down, it allows you to get back up and keep persevering. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, Angela Duckworth does a great TED talk that everyone should go and watch. And it's about 8 minutes long. And it's about the common denominator that she is seeing within multimillionaires. And that single ingredient is grit. It's like, hey, I'm going to do it, right? Can't, couldn't do it, and could did it all. I'm going to get out there and go for it. I'm going to absolutely, if I get knocked down, I'm going to get up, right? Isn't it Rocky Balboa that says, hey, it doesn't matter how many times you get knocked down, it's how many times you stand up. And that's what I had a piece of. And I know that people listening to me today maybe don't have all of the opportunities that some people have been offered, but if they want to go for it, they can have that grit. You just got to own it.
That's right. That's right. So being around people who are like-minded, talk about that because the Mastermind Group is something that you do, right?
Yeah.
Talk about that in terms of having that network of people because some people think that they can do things by themselves, but not true. Is that right?
No, I don't think that we can be successful at all by ourselves. I think there's a time that we need to learn to be independent. And Stephen Covey talks about it in the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. But to have real success, we need interdependence. And the only way that we can do that is if we do what Jim Rohn says, and that's surround yourself with amazing people, because we are the average of those people, right? And we need to find people that we can really walk in lockstep with, people that have the similar core values that we have, so that we can align ourselves to take ourselves to the next level. Because if you are not in community, you're not in accountability groups, you don't have that encouragement, you don't have people around you, how in the world do you think that you're ever going to do anything that's going to be adventuresome or that's going to be truly successful? So we've got to find those other people that have kind of been there, that have done that can walk alongside us and give us that sense of encouragement that we need.
So my guy is Dave Ramsey. I'm a Dave Ramsey guy. How did you get connected with Dave? I mean, of course, y'all from the same area, Sam. He's from, I guess, Antioch area, and you're from Gallatin. Is that fair?
Yeah. That's a great question. Let me tell this story because it's a fun story. So in the 1990s, Dakota, you wasn't even born then. You wasn't even born in the early 1990s, I bet you. But anyway, I went to Luby's Cafeteria to hear a guy speak on how to have success in your finances. And I walked in there and there were about 25 people in the room. This guy got up and he was telling about a radio show he was going to start called The Money Game. So I listened to him. And so I went up and introduced myself afterwards and told him I had a business right down the road and invited him down there to see it. So he came down there. He got in that old Lincoln or Thunderbird. Where is he drove? I don't even remember what it was. I think it was a Lincoln. And he drove it down to my store and he came in, he looked around, he said, man, this place is amazing. He said, I want you to advertise on my new show. And I said, get out of here. I'm not going to do that. I don't even know you. I never even heard of you. And he said, listen, I'll give you advertising for a week if you'll just try me. And I'm like, no way. I never even heard of you. I'm certainly not going to advertise my business. He said, what have you got to lose if you just try me for a week if I'm giving it to you? And I thought about it, and Dakota, it didn't take me but a minute. I said, he's right. And so I tried him. 3 days in to the advertising, people were coming in my store like crazy. And I called him up and I said, Dave, I said, I don't know if you are Jim Jones or not, but they have drank the Kool-Aid. These people are believing everything you're saying. They're buying stuff from me, and I want to sign up to continue doing advertising with you. He said, well, if you do that, you've got to sign up for a year. I said, what? He said, you got to sign up for a year. And I said, I don't know if I can do that. He goes, that's the only way I'm going to do it. Well, Dakota, here we go. Fast forward. I spent 21 consecutive years sponsoring his show. Out of that, Dave and I became very good friends. I've been there the whole time since the very first radio station. Now he's on about 700, talks to about 12 million people a month. And needless to say, man, he's rocked some people's worlds, but he's really helped me. He's been good to me. He's really supported me and endorsed our products, and he's really walked along with me. We met in his office for 10 or 12 years every Wednesday morning for an hour and a half, and we've really done life together. So it's been fun that I've had that level of encouragement, but we've been there for him too. Like, he's needed it also. And so the guys in that group, we were called the Eagles, and you've heard of the Eagles, I'm sure, but we met for a long time and we're still best friends today.
Awesome. That was about building partnerships, relationships with people, because life is about connecting with other people. I mean, God made us to be relational, and even our marriages. I mean, it's important. So let's talk about marriage. How has your wife been supportive in your businesses? I mean, 14 businesses. That's a lot of businesses.
Yeah. You know, when Robin and I were dating, Robin was 16 years old. I was 17 years old. We started dating. We went to rivalry high schools. She went to Goodlettsville. I went to Madison. She was good looking too, boy. I mean, she's still good looking, but I met her and I said, hey, we need to go out on a date. And we did, and we fell in love and we started dating. And then when we got married, we had a long discussion and we said, listen, we need to do it right. We don't need to do it wrong. We both are broker and a convict, you know, when we got married and we didn't have any money whatsoever. And I said, we can't mess this up. And so we really invested back into the business. Every dime we made, we paid it on a 10-year loan. We borrowed $150,000 to start our first business. And I don't know about you, Dakota, in the 70s, that was a lot of money. That's a lot of money today. But in the 70s, that was really a lot of money. And we paid that gentleman off in 36 months. We paid a 10-year loan off in 36 months. I was 21 years old. I had a paid for retail outlet. And I said, I can do it again. And we did. And Robin was supportive. She helped me in the business. And she's been my biggest advocate. She's been my biggest supporter. She's been my source of strength. She's always been there for me. And we just celebrated 40 years back in June, about to celebrate 41. And I hope we have another 25 or 30 ahead of us. That's my prayer. But man, there is nothing like having a supportive spouse. And there's nothing worse than if your spouse don't support you. So I want to encourage your listeners today that you got to get on the same page with your mate, right? You can't be pulling in opposite directions. And there's an old analogy where one ox can pull 1,000 pounds, but two oxes can pull 6,000 pounds, right? I don't know if I got the math exactly right, but you get the gist of what I'm saying. And when you're working in lockstep and you're working in tandem, man, you can move mountains. And I just want to encourage your listeners today, get on the same page, find out what it is that each other wants, outserve one another, and live a very servant-filled life with your spouse, and they'll support you long-term.
Wow. So in terms of your passion for men and your mastermind groups, talk about that in terms of the Iron Sharpens Iron, and how you mentioned the different areas have you all grown. How did you start that program, and like, just talk about that. How can you help others?
When Dave Ramsey and Dan Miller encouraged me to coach, I didn't want to do it. I said, what I want to do is go down to St. Martin in the Caribbean and buy a condo on the beach and get one of those rocking chairs out and rock myself into an oblivion. That's what I want to do. And Dan Miller leaned over the table and pointed that little stubby short finger of his in my face. And he said, that's the most selfish thing I've ever heard you say. And I'm like, man, I've been working since I was 8 years old. Can I not take a break? And he said, yeah, you can take a break, but you don't need to quit at 50 years old. You need to coach and you need to do that. So when I started coaching, I met these two guys, one from Stephenville, Texas, named Matt Miller, and another guy named Brett Barnhart from Tulsa, Oklahoma, just outside of Tulsa in Glenpool. And they hired me to coach them. Well, we started making huge traction in their business, their personal life, their professional life, their spiritual life. And I was like, man, I'm loving this. Somebody suggested that I get on a podcast and interview tell my story, be interviewed. And John Lee Dumas was just starting Entrepreneur on Fire. And so I reached out to him and he said, man, I'd love for you to be my guest. And I was, and it's a proud moment for me. I've been his only guest that's been on there 5 times. And God just really showed us favor with him. And so he kept having me back. And there's this new guy named Tony Robbins that knocked me out of 3rd place in his most downloaded. We're the 5th most downloaded. And it's not because I'm good. It's because I've got a good story. And my story is that everybody can live a life of success and significance if they want to. It's just that we've got to adopt that mindset of being a giver and not a taker. And when you do that, other people want to be around you. They want to help you. They want to take you to that next level. And that's the message that we're trying to teach today, is to outserve everyone else and really pour into other people. Well, when I started sharing that message, Dakota, they came out of the woodwork. And then I filled up like a mastermind in like 18 hours. And then I got on Pat Flynn's Smart Passive Income, filled up 2 mastermind groups in a 30-minute interview. And God just kept sending us these amazing people, and they kept telling other people about it. I kept sharing my story. I kept doing interviews. And here we are today. If things continue to go at the pace they're going, we'll have 40 mastermind groups by the end of 2021. And the reason is because their lives are transforming. It's changing family trees. And that's what we want to do, because we want to be your board of directors. We want to be the person that undergirds you, that edifies you and encourages you. We want to be the person that you can borrow our confidence when you don't have any. And we want to help you push through those upper limit challenges. And man, when you start having success personally, you start doubling your business, and then you're the man or the woman that God intended you to be. You're the mom or you're the dad that God intended you to be, or the spouse. Man, your life changes. Why would you not want to be around these people?
Right.
That's what's been happening for us, and we just continue to grow.
Wow. That's what's awesome, because people want to be transformed, but they have to have the desire. So as we wrap up, talk about some things that you've overcome in your life, and to give people encouragement, because people need help right now. I mean, we're going through the pandemic. Things are just uncertain for a lot of people, I mean, all of us. But leave the audience with something, please. Something that they can hold on to and keep moving forward.
Here's the thing, Dakota. We all need to be in community. God designed us to be around other people. We weren't designed to be in isolation. That's why I hate this pandemic stuff with a passion, because it's isolated us. And as I say all the time, isolation is the enemy to excellence. And if you want to really excel, it's mandatory that we get around other people that can help us and encourage us. Listen, we all are knuckleheads, and we all have these blind spots. We all have these areas in our life that we can't push through. But when you come around and I can encourage you and challenge you, and I can push you and I can hold you accountable, you're going to go do that thing. And once you do that thing, you gain a little bit of success, and then you get that confidence. Then your self-esteem goes up, and then you go out and you do even better, right? And so all we need is a little encouragement. We need assistance. We need people to help us. And once we build that self-confidence up, we can go out there and live a life like I'm talking about. But we all need it at different times in our life. There's always going to be a time in our life where, life ebbs and flows. We have mountaintops and we have valleys, and we need people to walk along that journey with us. And then when you have those people in your life, you're going to be a lot more successful than you would be going it alone.
That's very true. So how can people find out about your book, your mastermind group, and about you?
Yeah, well, thank you. The easiest way to contact me is to go to viewfromthetop.com. That's with a V, like Victor, viewfromthetop.com. If you want to join our mastermind, man, we would love to have you fill out an application. Go to that site. You can fill out the application. The book can be found anywhere. It's in airports and bookstores and now on Amazon, or reach out to me personally and I can send you a book, ever how you want to get it. Yeah, check it out, View from the Top. It's kind of a memoir. It tells my story. It gives a real sense of encouragement. And I would love you to reach out to contact me, because I'd love to meet some new folks.
All right. Thank you for your time, Aaron. And this is the Your Money Hour podcast. Thank you all for listening.